Okay guys, here you see the Joule Thief from the other video still running. This is pretty interesting. This is a scope trace from this little Joule Thief running, and this thing is producing more light than any Joule Thief I've ever seen. I think this coil is doing really good. This is an old-time Motorola 2N2222A in a little can. That's an actual Motorola. They haven't made those in quite some years, but I found them. So notice the size of the toroid here that we're getting off of this one. So my thought is that we can use that toroid and that setup to instead of directly drive an LED, we take the LED out of the equation. We make that drive a PNP, and that goes blasto into our load. So we'll try it that way. I'd also like to try it with a secondary. You can see here I've got a couple more cores that I've set aside that look particularly good. Here's another Thief on a big old toroid, and you can see how many winds I have on there. That does a high enough frequency and does pretty well for that ultraviolet LED. But this one is just a madman right here. So I'm going to experiment a little bit further with this core and very dense wrappings as we see here. And I'm going to swap in and out the 2N 2369A. 2N2369A. So that's where we're at. Just wanted to give you a little update there. This thing's going at 420 kilohertz, and it really looks like we're starting to get some pulses, some significant gain coming out of this. So I'll talk to you later. Cheers. Hi guys. Today we're going to talk about some of these Joule Thieves we've had going on here. I'm going to show you several different ones, as well as show you several cores that we've been working with, and the opportunity to optimize those things. But most importantly, we're going to take a look at some interesting scope traces from a couple of these circuits. So here's the first one running here. This has got a 2N2369A transistor in it, and as you can see, it's a big toroid. We got quite a few wraps here, and one thing that I'm really focusing in on is that we've got a very small lead for our trigger here, and a larger lead for our power lead in that bifilar. That seems to be pretty critical to achieve the effects we're looking for, and I'm going to take that to the extreme that I can take it to with the materials we have here in the testing of this as this is ongoing. Okay, so, and here's the trace for that. That's on 1 volt per division and 10 microseconds per division. And you can see the sharp rise and fall characteristics there. So this is a pretty interesting trace. This particular diode, being a UV diode, takes a little higher voltage to drive. Which is why we're seeing a higher output out of this. So let's go on to device number 2. Put the cam down. Okay, so device number 2 up to bat today is this. Now you saw we had a very large toroid on the previous one. This is a much smaller toroid. That's this right here, which is yellow with clear apparently for the nomenclature here. and this is a T30-6 RF toroid. So this is a powdered iron core in this toroid, and apparently they're made pretty specifically for RF applications. So I'm down with that. That works well for me. As you can see, we've got a wide array of them here in different configurations. This is a blue with yellow, which according to our chart here is a number 17 material, and the different diameters that we're associated with. The T30 is the toroid, and then essentially the diameter, and the 6 is the material number. So that's what these guys are right here. You can see they're little fellers, and that's what's wound here. Now I used a number 29 and a number 26 for this bifilar wrap, and this one has 2 layers. Okay, so there's 2 layers on top of this. I'm gonna put a battery in and power it on. Thought I had a battery on the desk here. There she is. So you can see it's shining really bright here. And in fact, I'm going to put the light rod on it. So you can really see there's a lot of light being produced by this. Okay. Scope probe. We're going to go across coil side of the LED with the probe, and across the negative onto ground. Okay, and you can see our scope trace here. Now this is a much different scope trace than we were looking at with the device we just used. Try to get as good a view as I can for you here. Without the camera falling over. Now this is a 50 ohm variable resistor, and I'm just going to sweep it a little bit, and you can see that we've got a real interesting kind of resonance going on in here that we didn't have with the other scope trace. And we're at 360 kilohertz now. Look at this wave, you know? I mean, this 50 ohm VR sweeps it an awful long way. That's about 58 kilohertz, 112, 180, 230. Still 230. 360 350, 370, 377, 376, still 376. The only thing we're changing is the frequency we're modulating, it looks like, or the ringing tone. Now it's dropped down to 215. 266.9. That's 385 right there. And I was just sweeping back and forth with the variable resistor. So, as you can see, I'm pretty pleased with this. I got a lot of light output going on here. I got a small toroid. This functions a little better with the 2N 2369A as opposed to the 2N2222A, both being original Motorola components. That's at like 389.2 kilohertz now. And it's a very interesting waveform in my opinion, it really is. You can see our trigger line there is the yellow line. Oh, maybe you can't see it. I'm looking at the screen here, the video, maybe you can't see it. Okay, so that's where I'm at on that one, and what I'm considering next is I'm going to make a little different tuning and tweaking on this this winding to see if I can optimize this any further. But I think this fellow is going to become the prototype circuit. I'll replace that variable resistor with a fixed resistor, and we'll wind up with a very small little chunk of circuit there. And then I'll implement a secondary on this. The only issue I really see with the secondary on this one is where the heck am I going to put it? Because there's not much room left. Yeah, so as I was saying, after the main wraps are on this, we don't have a lot of room in there in the middle of the toroid for secondary, to tell you the truth. It's a really small pore. So I'm going to have to use a very fine wire on the secondary, and maybe even drop the gauge a little bit on the primary 2 wraps to see what we can do on that. It really might have to be some very, very fine wire. Okay, on to our next device. Which is right over here. This is this toroid right here, this blue fellow. Okay? And you can see that while it'll do a good job, it doesn't give us anything like the waveform of that other circuit we just looked at. So we're at half a volt per division there. And we're getting nice big spikes, of course. And the waveform is a little different type of waveform. We can get it down to about 17,000 hertz and up to about 38,000, and that's with a 350 ohm variable resistor. Okay. $40,000 hertz. That's about the best we're going to do at that core and that variable resistor. I'm sure we could push it up further with a different variable resistor. So, as you can see, we have more permutations to work with here, but I'm leaning toward this guy simply because of that fantastic waveform that we get out of that. Okay, cheers. Hi guys, one more thing here. These are 10 of toroids again. This guy I wound but haven't tested yet. This is a tiny little red toroid, and there's not a lot of wraps on that. There's maybe 12, 13, 14 wraps. One loop all the way around, essentially. And then this one, which I thought would do great with this secondary on top, didn't do jack squat. So I'm gonna try to figure out what the hell's up with that. I found it very surprising though that this toroid didn't perform very well. As it's just a little bit larger model. It's the larger yellow one. Which I don't even know where I put. But I have it somewhere. In any case, and this is a ferrite one that I wound last night as well. And this is the same winding configuration as the one that goes nuts. So, let's see how that guy works out. Okay, cheers.